Kids Are Talking is sponsored by Paradigm Financial Partners. Align your values and financial goals. Build your wealth and financial security for a rich and satisfying life with Paradigm Financial Partners.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Kids Are Talking. We have a great show for you today. Kids are talking about popularity and social anxiety. So thank you, everybody, for joining us. We look forward to a great show. Don't forget to like and subscribe and put your comments down in the chat box on YouTube or Facebook or Twitch, and we'll try to, address them on the show. The panel is always happy to take your questions. So let us know what you want to do. If you want to visit us on kidsartalking.live and you want to be on a show, please visit us. And there's a form you can fill out, and we'll try to get you on. So for everybody that's watching, thank you so much. And we have we'll see you in 2 minutes, and we'll get the show rolling. So until then, Kids Are Talking.
All teenagers are going through really similar things right now because everything's crazy.
Hey, Don, I bet you're really happy to not be talking about finance again. Huh?
Yeah, it's kind of a relief to get back into this area. Although the financial show acted, it was pretty nice. I got relaxed with it, and kids were great, and I learned something. And
well, I can tell you that finance probably causes me as much anxiety as popularity and social things. So I think this is a great transition.
Yeah, we put ourselves on the line every week, Mike. So popularity and social anxiety, they have some correlation to each other. And this is a wide open topic tonight. I think certainly it's popular subject about popularity. Everyone knows this is something that's on everybody's mind. We all lived it. When I was a kid, we had these books that people would pass around, and they would rate who was the most attractive, who was the best athlete, who were your 10 favorite people.
My mom wrote a kid's book called The Path to Popularity. I don't know if it helped or anything, but she tried. It works. Some of it works.
That was our social media then. I mean,
books,
they passed these books around. I mean, it was like the stress and pressure of that was enough. And then you had to see what people really thought. So that was already predicting what our future was going to be with social media. So, yeah, so I'm ready to meet. We have 4 tonight. Is an interesting balance of kids. I think that we haven't had anything quite like this tonight. And the subject being as wide open as it is, I think we're all curious to see just what the phenomenology is behind the word popularity.
Yeah. So let's bring on the kids. So we have Julian returning from the music show. He's here to offer his insights.
Good to see you again, Julian. No guitar tonight, but
no guitar.
But you were pretty good at Jimi Hendrix last time.
We have Benjamin here offering he's a new panelist, and we're looking forward to hearing his thoughts and insight on everything. And we have Whitley's here. Everybody remembers Whitley. She's been on many shows before. And we have Jesse. I think Jesse, are you there? I see. Oh, yeah.
Jesse.
Okay, there we go.
Jesse's on her phone tonight. Well, so I think what I'm going to do is just each of you just give a brief. We've had some of you on. We've had Whitley on and Jesse on before, but not everybody's familiar with you. I think just a brief introduction about who you are. What year you're in school, and that's pretty much it. So, Jesse, why don't you start? Just to say hello to everybody and give a little.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Jessie, and I'm a senior in high school. And yeah, anything else you need to know?
I think that's good. They see that live expression in your face, and always a lot going on inside that head of yours, and so that's fine. That's great. Julian?
I'm Julian. I am in 8th grade. I am a musician. Music is my passion. And yeah, I'm mainly a guitar player. And I just love music.
We don't want to put pressure on you, but you were a great Jimi Hendrix the last time we saw you. So we'll hear you talk about that, I'm sure, tonight before the night is over in terms of your music. And Benjamin.
Hey, I'm Ben. I'm a kid podcaster, entrepreneur, and speaker, and I'm in 10th grade.
And California. LA, right?
Yep, LA suburbs.
Go Dodgers. I mean, maybe you're not a Dodger fan. You love the Dodgers?
Love the Dodgers. Hope they play well.
That was an exciting game last night, wasn't it, Ben?
Yeah.
Do you like to be called Ben or Benjamin, by the way?
Most of the time I go by Ben, so yeah.
I'll call you Ben. Well, we'll call you Ben tonight. How's that?
Sounds perfect.
And then Whitley, man, our old familiar Whitley. We had some separation anxiety. We haven't seen you for a while.
I know it's been too long. But yeah, my name's Whitley. I'm a senior in high school, and I'm from North Carolina. That's pretty much it.
We thought you'd be good for this show because you live in that small little town of yours, and you're a familiar face. And this is a subject that how can you not have something to say about it?
Yeah, I mean it's a popular topic.
So Dr. Don, as usual, is going to get you thinking right away with my question. And actually, the first question, and I want you all to jump in on this. Does popularity matter? What is popularity? Actually, let's define popular. What is popularity? What does it mean to all of you?
That's difficult. That's a difficult question to answer because it can be many things.
Whatever you want to say about it. Free associate, Julian.
Well, popularity, it's not just like it's about, part of it is being social, following trends, and yeah, I guess just being what someone would call like normal. It's difficult to answer.
Well, how do you see yourself in within that word?
In that word,
Does it matter to you to even think about being popular or what it even means to fit into a label of any kind or group?
Well, I feel like everyone at some point just like wishes like, or like people who aren't popular, I guess, would be like, I wish that I was like, I fit in more if like you're different. And like, even like I've thought that before, and I have like a lot of friends. I'm not sure if I'd say I'm popular, but like I've thought that to myself, like because like I play guitar, like all my friends are like into sports and stuff. So like I've kind of never been able to really fit into that realm.
Does that bother you? Does it bother you?
Not anymore, really. I'm happy with myself. I think I brought this up on the previous show with music that I'm confident with myself and I won't change myself to fit into.
So it's more important to be true to yourself at this point.
It is, but I can see why so many people would change themselves to try and like so many people these days change themselves to fit into like a friend group or something.
I see Ben nodding his head over here.
Yeah, Ben, you nodding your head for a reason. You want to say something to Julian? What do you want to say?
a lot of people now are like, especially, teens, are changing themselves so much to fit in to different groups, to make new friends by being someone else or to be popular in that kind of like social hierarchy. And I think it's just kind of laying the foundation for unhappiness, long-term unhappiness, not only in high school, but, laying the foundation for unhappiness in life by just believing that you're not acceptable as who you are.
And how about you? Do you feel like, Julian, that it's more important for you to have a rich inner life and define yourself by you, not by how other people feel about you?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, what other people think about you is kind of the first poison into affecting what you think about yourself. I mean, there are things that you can say to yourself that are positive that make you feel happy, and then there are negative things, but those negative things are things that have been said to you by other people because no one's born to think negative. It's really those people who are telling you that you can't be who you are. It's disapproval and those type of things that are putting negative energy into your body, and
Hmm.
that's just going to get in there and stay there for a long time, maybe even forever.
Hey,
So,
hey,
Can I
Ben. I'm
add?
sorry, Don.
go
Hey,
ahead, Mike.
Ben.
Go
Ben,
ahead.
can you
Good, Mike.
we lost a little bit of your sound. Can you turn up your volume a little bit?
Yeah, a
You're a
little
little
bit
bit
more
quieter
volume would be good.
than when
Yeah.
you first
You have too
started.
many good
So
things to say. We want to hear you loud and clear, right, Mike?
If I add on
Yeah.
to him a
Oh,
little
yeah,
bit,
Ben, that's better.
Oh, this is
That,
better.
that's much
Okay.
better, Ben. Yeah, my teacher would always tell me to project my voice, but in technology, it's just probably more about technology. So, yeah,
Yeah.
much better. So, how did you? I mean, I'm impressed the two of you being you both, fairly young. How did you manage to both feel and more self-content and less pressure to conform and fit into to what we might define as popular or an in group? How have you been able to do that, Ben?
so
Oh, go ahead, Julie.
I don't know. It's just I guess I've just kind of had to like just do some deep thinking and just like because when you're young, like your brain is still developing, especially when you're a teen.
Hmm.
So people who are young are very sensitive to like acceptance and like being rejected, like just in general by like people, like our feelings are very sensitive. So it's easy to see how someone could like change themselves to try and fit into something like they don't want to be, like try and force themselves into being a different person, and that can make you happy sometimes, but like what Ben said, like on the long term is not what's going to be best for you.
Well,
So
I think you
I
you
think
both have. Go ahead.
I think that it's just best to stay true to yourself because that's going to lead you to the best places.
Well, you also have your passion of music, right?
Yes, I
And
do.
Ben,
And the people that go to my school or
what
that I'm
what's that
friends
about? What about people from your school?
not many other people have that same passion as me.
It's good to have a passion. Probably helps you feel more like you don't have to fit in, right?
It
True,
makes me
Ben?
feel,
Yeah.
well, here's things like people think that like they're different. They always think of it as like a negative thing because, you know, I know what I'm trying to say. I'm just having trouble saying it. So I've just found that staying true to myself and being who I want to be makes me feel proud of myself that I took the risk of stepping outside and being sort of an outsider. It's a difficult topic.
Yeah. What makes it difficult? What do you think, Whitley? What makes this a difficult topic?
I think one of the things that makes it difficult is that there really is no like true definition, I guess, of popularity. It's kind of different where you live. Like when I moved schools at my old school, I mean, we were young. Like I guess there was a popular group, but it was just kind of just a mix of different kids. But then whenever I moved over to my new school, like it was just like all the athletic kids that were like the most popular. So it's based off where you are, but it also can be kind of like a touchy subject, because even if you don't like let it affect you as much, it's still, popularity isn't all about just like ego. It's also about people, whether or not people like you for who you are. So it's kind of difficult to talk about sometimes, I guess, because it's hard to be like, oh yeah, I'm popular, or no, I'm not, and try to like, you kind of feel like you have to explain yourself, I guess.
Isn't confidence, Jesse, a big factor in this? To have the confidence to you're hearing what the kids are saying so far tonight, particularly these young folks. What do you think? Where do you think confidence and where does social anxiety play into this?
I think that's a great question. Personally, just going off the context of everyone else, whereas popularity, especially in schools, you have a certain image of a popular high school boy or girl, maybe a prom king, maybe the star athlete, whatever it is, that's your definition of popular. And you asked me about confidence. Those people are simultaneously the most secure and insecure people out there. The popularity, there's no clear set of requirements you have to meet to be popular. You don't have to be 6'7". At some schools, a short, funny kid might be the most well liked, but that feedback loop of you want to be perceived as the most liked, which is the definition of popular, someone who is being liked, admired, or supported by many people. The desire to do that forces people to change parts of themselves, as I believe Julian was saying. It forced the desire to be more popular and be better liked, forces people to change themselves into a perception that they want other people to perceive them as. And so that's where the confidence comes in, because you have to be really secure with that image in order to portray it in a way that people will accept. Because if you come off as, oh, I don't know, how do you guys like this top? No one's going to believe you. And there's a simultaneously of you have to be confident, but you don't have to know what you're being confident about.
So how did you escape this? Because you're a senior in high school now, and you're listening to all these other folks, particularly these young ones here tonight. I mean, how do you escape? Where do you find your comfort zone and not feel social anxiety? And so far we're hearing a lot of commentary tonight about having a passion, being true to who you are, and being different. By the way, in the old days, it was the jocks and the nerds, or the cool kids were the jocks. And is it cooler to be a nerd now than it used to be? I don't know. That's for all of you to ask.
Trends change time.
You think it's like, is there such a thing as a nerd? And I mean, nerds were not cool, and they were made fun of in my day. Is it different now?
They're still
Go ahead, Julian.
cool. Well, like, there's like stereotypes of like in like movies and stuff, how there's like the popular kids, like what Jesse was saying, like how people try to fit in with, like, being like a jock or something, like what you were saying. And if they're something different than that, then I guess they feel like they don't fit into like that group.
Yes.
That's the thing.
So, yeah, Jesse. So I don't know if I gave you a chance to answer the question about you seem very confident in who you are at this point and with yourself. And how did you get there?
I think the truth is that I'm not confident in myself whatsoever. But at the same time, I know that no one else is, and I'm working on it just as well as anyone else is. And at the end of the day, middle school is middle school, and middle school is fucking awful. So you got to get through that stage where everyone is moving on. Change is supposed to happen. You're supposed to become more mature. And I think everyone reached the threshold where we're accepting our change. And people who used to think it was funny to be mean now are changing.
So do you think there's such a thing as a popular crowd and a nerd? I mean, is it the jocks, I mean, and versus the nerds? Do you think there's anything to that? Or you think that in my day, that was a big issue? I mean, Benjamin, you have a very unusual story. Maybe you can tell us a little bit, because you're homeschooling, right?
Yeah,
And
I mean,
you're an unusual guy, Ben. So where do you fit into this conversation?
Yeah, so I mean, what I do now is I run a podcast and I run a company, and I do a lot of work in
You're CEO.
interviews
Are you
with.
a CEO, Ben, at age
Yeah, yeah. I
15?
have a podcast called Kids CEO, a media company called Kids CEO. So that's a lot of what I do now is helping kids becoming kids CEOs, kid entrepreneurs. So I guess that's kind of where I could fit in. I mean, not most kids in my school weren't. I wasn't homeschooled up until this year, but most kids in my school for you know 10 years weren't selling things on the street at age 9, right? So I was always a little bit different. I think for me, a big reason why I was so confident in myself was just having supportive parents super easily. When I wanted to go out and sell avocados on the street at age 9, could my parents have been like, no, you should focus on school, focus on, right? And so I think that was a big thing that helped me through this was
And what were you
support
doing?
of.
What were you doing out in the streets?
So when I was about 9, 10, around that age, I really wanted these, the Funko Pops, the bobbleheads, and so it was Star Wars year, 2015, and I really wanted these bobbleheads. So I took, we had avocado trees outside, so me and two friends, we literally got ladders and climbed these, like 50-foot trees, to pick avocados. We threw them in boxes and we took them out to the street corner, and we literally just waved people down, selling avocados on the street.
Okay, and so then what happened after that?
After that, I mean, we would go buy, we could sell avocados, take the money, and go buy things with it. And that kind of transformed me into that world of entrepreneurship, learning that I really loved selling things, loved running businesses, and that's kind of took me into where I'm at now.
Do you feel like you're missing out being home and not being in school with the other kids, or do you have friends, or how does that work for you?
Yeah, I mean, I've thought about this a lot recently. I've only been homeschooled for about 1 month, but it's kind of, that balancing act. On one hand, of course, it's easier to go back to a school. I don't have to manage my own schedule as much. I can more, follow a guideline with school, whereas now I kind of have to figure out things myself. And sometimes it can feel like missing out because there are things that go on in regular school. I see, I have friends from my previous schools that are like, wow, they're doing this or this. And on the other hand, I'm fortunate enough to be in a different community of people as well, which is kids who are in my exact same place that I interviewed for my podcast, a year ago when I was just starting out. And so now I'm fortunate to be able to call those people my friends and be able to go to them and see what they're doing and ask for their advice. And they're all homeschooled. And so on one hand, there's everyone else from all my old friends who are doing these traditional things with high school life. And then I sometimes feel like, oh, I'm missing out. But then there's the other hand of this other community of kid entrepreneurs that are all homeschooled as well. And they're traveling the world. They're doing cool things with their life. And so I think that's been a big thing for me as well, is finding a community of that I kind of belong in, that's showing me what's possible on that other end of the spectrum.
And that community that you feel you're part of is what, the entrepreneurial kids, or what kind of community do you feel you're part of?
I mean, kid entrepreneurs, philanthropists, there are a ton more than you would think of kids who
Wow.
are doing things like starting their own charities, companies, courses, books. There's a huge number there.
I don't get the feeling, Whitley, based on tonight so far, that any of this group is too concerned about what people think of them.
No.
Look, this popularity show is not sounding like a very.
It doesn't sound very anxiety producing.
It doesn't sound like a very anxiety producing show. Is it really? Are we really that together? I mean, I'm amazed. I mean, wow.
I mean, I don't know. I think everyone on here is pretty mature, and like, even if you aren't completely secure in yourself, secure enough in yourself to know what is and isn't important. Like, popularity kind of, I mean, I know at least at my school, once we kind of reached the high school after like the first month of freshman year, everyone realized that no one cared. So, I mean, I think it can be a big deal in some places, in certain situations. But I think that popularity was more of a thing in middle school because people thought it was supposed to be a thing.
Well, but here's the thing, Whitley. This is what's surprising me tonight. You're listening to Julian, who's in 8th grade. And what grade are you in, Ben?
10th grade.
They don't seem to be having Right, Jesse? I'm not hearing too many issues for these two. What do you think is going on with these? I mean, is it surprising to listen to these two?
I think the reason these two, keep in mind, I'm not a licensed therapist and not here to psychoanalyze you. I think the reason you two are so secure with yourselves is because you have someone to love you and you have a community that supports you, whether that be guitar or other child entrepreneurs. You know you are loved and you know you are supported, and that makes a difference.
How do they know they're loved and supported based on what you're listening to?
Well, Benjamin was telling us about how he has all these friends he could count on from different like social groups. Like, he doesn't belong to a label. And Julian was telling us about how his music kind of is his passion and how he's always able to find comfort in that. And I think that's a thing that a lot of quote unquote popular kids don't have. They don't necessarily have a support group. So therefore, these kids, they have something that they love, and that what loves them back.
So you're saying something very interesting, because I always thought the so-called whatever the popular group meant, that they were like the ones that looked happy and that they had a group to be with. They look like, oh God, I want to be part of them because they have their own. I want to be like, there were people that probably, Whitley, you went through this. I don't know if you went through it, Jesse, when you were younger. Like, you want to be part of that group for some reason. You're not saying that at all right now about popular kid, whatever popular.
No, I think the popular kids that you might see with the coolest clothes and stuff aren't popular because they're happy. They're popular because they're trying to perceive the most well-liked by other people. And so therefore, if they think that wearing that top will make them well-liked, then they're going to wear that top, and people are going to react to that.
So
and that's why they're happy.
I like that. So it's more appearance and more outer rather than inward. Whitley, what do you think about that? I like that, Jesse. That makes sense. What do you think about that? Yeah.
No, I agree. I do think a lot of popularity, like the popular crowd, like, you have to work for it. Like, it's not just a snap, it's done, you're just popular for forever. I mean, like, I think it takes a lot more effort than people realize.
It doesn't look to the person that's on the outside, though, that it takes a lot of effort. It looks like something you want to be part of. How does that get pulled off?
I mean, I think a lot of it is just, acting, I guess. Just
good acting.
Yeah. Yeah. And just acting like you're always having fun and just happy, and like there's nothing wrong in your life. Like, being what you would perceive as like the perfect version of yourself, but is how others and how society would see the perfect version of yourself, not necessarily your perfect version of yourself.
Yeah, I kind of like what Jesse was saying. Like, just be real. We're all growing, and don't pretend we have it all together. And actually, sometimes I'm wary of the people that do say they have it all together. Right?
Yeah.
What do you think about that? Yeah. Right.
I don't think anyone ever truly has every single thing in their life all together. Everyone always has some issue of some sort, and if they're saying they aren't, then that's either they're not ready to talk about it, or they just want people to think everything's perfect.
What do you think, Julian, about that? What do you think, Julian? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I agree. Like, when you're in like middle school, like, I'm in 8th grade, so
you're in 8th grade, and you are not a typical 8th grader, Julian, the way you sounded, right, to all of us.
Yeah, I'm kind of aware of that. I honestly I think it's just part of how I've just taken a look around me, and I've just like realized like I'm different from other people, and that's not a bad thing.
Yeah. Being different's okay.
Yeah, as long as you're not hurting anybody. Like, I honestly don't know, like, because like even like some of my friends are like unlike me, where they're not like happy with myself. I'm happy with who I am. Well, at least for the most part. I wouldn't really change anything about myself, to be honest.
I'm getting a feeling with all of you, because I know kids, because I'm a therapist, so I hear it. I also hear it around Westport. I hear about what's going on in the Westport school systems, and it's probably a lot of school systems. There's a lot of meanness going on. That this so-called, sometimes the in-clicky groups are not very welcoming to the outsiders. So am I hearing tonight that these are people that basically maybe aren't so great inside that they have to act that way? There maybe we we who feel like on the outside that we're missing something, maybe we need to realize maybe that's not such a great thing to be part of. What makes these people such bullies and so mean to other kids?
Because
I think a lot of it is insecurity and they need validation from others to feel okay with themselves. I think a lot of these people they think that if everyone likes me, that must mean that everything that I think is wrong about myself isn't. But I don't think that they ever actually get to the point of being like, oh, well, everyone likes me or everyone likes me enough in this way. I think that it's always a constant struggle. Like it's like trying to find the end of the rainbow. Like you keep going and you think you're there, but you're never quite there.
But maybe they're the ones with the social anxiety. The four of you don't seem to be suffering from the social anxiety as much. Maybe the ones that we think have this group of people that so many people think they need to be a part of, particularly a kid that's moving from another town, for instance. I've heard there's a kid I know who moved from San Francisco here, and they were just brutalized in the Westport school system. I mean, how come we don't welcome kids in? How come these kids don't welcome? Where's the meanness coming from? Why don't we welcome a kid into town and say, hey, come on in. We'd love to have you. Like, let's get to know you. Let's make you feel like you were saying, loved or part of a community. How come there are a group of kids that don't do that?
do it with a sense of power.
They
And
want
because
power, did you say, Jesse? I mean, Julian?
It can be. It can be.
Yeah.
It could be multiple things.
Fear.
Trying to fit in by just being an absolute jerk to everyone. That's a common theme throughout middle school that I've seen. People who can be the jerkiest are the ones that are the most popular quotes.
So what do we say to a kid that's not fitting in and kids are being mean to him? What would be the thing you'd want to give the advice to the person that's being pushed around and being not accepted? What would we want? What would we want a kid to realize who's on that end of it?
Sorry, what did you say?
What do we want to say to a kid who's really trying to like come in and be accepted, or at least have people be nice to them, and they're having trouble with the fact that the people are being mean to them? What would you say to them? That's for all of you to answer, by. That's an open question to all of you.
Mind if I jump in?
Yeah, jump in. I want you all to jump in. I tell people, come jump in here, right? Please jump in.
Yeah, I mean, I would say to have empathy, right? Because look at the reason why. If you're a new kid, you're a decent kid, there's a reason why they don't want you with them. They're afraid of change. They don't want their perfect life to mess up. And there's also another aspect of it, which is to have empathy for those quote unquote popular kids, because they, you don't know what they're doing to keep up that act, right?
Yeah.
They might have more social anxiety than you. They might be living an entirely different life. Yeah.
Who knows what's going on in their house, right, Ben?
Exactly. And so I think honestly, don't try to, if they're mean to you, don't try to, go back with spreading rumors about them or negativity towards them. Honestly, have empathy, because they're the ones who are living in fear of you. They don't want you to change up, the perfect life. You don't know what they're going through that makes them so desperate for attention and makes them so, fearful of change. So just, have empathy for them.
So what do you tell Johnny and Jill, who are feeling like, I just came into the new school or out of town, and Johnny and Jill, they want to be loved. They think that there's something wrong because they're not fitting into that group. So what do you want to tell Johnny and Jill?
I mean, find if the popular kids have no interest with you, then find a group that does. Most schools have thousands of people, maybe 1,000 or maybe 5,000. There's got to be 10 that have some sort of shared interest with you. And it's not trying to make you fit in with others. It's finding a group that fits in with you. And so just instead of trying so hard to get into these groups that are the popular kids or things like that make it look good, just try to find, groups of people who like you, people who are similar to you, and people that you have a good time with.
Whitley, you seem to like what you like. Who else wants to jump in? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I agree, Benjamin. Like, one of the things that I've learned from a lot is that joining clubs or sports, like, if you can find the places where other people are that have common interests as you have something to talk about. So you could text someone after practice and be like, hey, practice was fun today. Do you want to go out after school one day so we can work on whatever? Like, you can make friends like that. And usually with sports and clubs, at least, I mean, I go to a small school, but like at least like 10, 20 kids in them. So, well, clubs are more like 10, sports are 20 or more. But like there are a fair amount of people to choose from that you have common interests with. So it's, and especially with sports like teams, like you're like a family. So there's the bonding with that, and you have a place to fit in.
Yeah, I think that's what you were saying, Jesse, right? About finding the place where you can feel loved and with people that make you feel good about yourself, right?
Yeah, and if you don't find it at first, don't worry, you'll find them eventually.
Social media is not helping, is it? I mean, the thing like Instagram. I mean, I know Ben,
Yeah.
you're into it.
No, yeah, I know what you mean. I think that really contributes to what it means to be popular, because now people have a platform to tell people what it is to be well liked. And likes and followers are a great way to measure popularity, whereas you didn't have that before. And
Right.
so it kind of reinforces the destructive behavior of, oh, I have to do this if I want to be liked. And that's how people measure their self-worth,
Right.
meaning it can be destructive if you don't really recognize it and don't have the self-assurance and confidence to say a number doesn't define me.
Yeah, and there's the likes or dislikes. I mean, it's and it gets mean, right, Ben? I mean, you're into Instagram. I mean, what do you? I'd like to hear what you have to say about this, because I know you're a big Instagram guy.
I mean, a few months ago, I was really semi anti Instagram. I did use it for my work, but other than that, I try to stay off it. Now, my kind of mindset around social media has kind of changed. I view it more kind of now as a mirror. It's a mirror of you, and it's a mirror of society. So a lot of people say that social media is very negative, and there is a lot of negativity in social media, but the negativity is kind of a mirror of what you are looking for in social media. And what I mean by that is the way social media works through algorithms, putting up content that you'll engage with. And so by looking for positivity, you find positivity in social media. By liking things that are positive quotes or things like that. If you're going into social media with an insecurity, it's gonna exploit that insecurity. But if you go into it looking for positivity, looking for advice, if you're a athlete, if you're looking for videos of people teaching new techniques for route running and football, whatever. But I just kind of view social media as a mirror of yourself. You'll find what you're looking for in it, and then with likes and dislikes and shares and comments as kind of a mirror for society. And that society has always cared so much about how much people like you, how many people are your followers, but maybe they're people who high five you in the hallway. It's just being translated into a digital world. I think the problem, definitely social media doesn't help, but it's just a mirror of society. And to really solve the problem, we have to look really into why people are so caught up with the real life likes and dislikes. And then
why?
And then that'll translate into digital.
So Ben, why? What is the why?
I mean,
got a lot of insecure, vulnerable people, and if you've been following the Facebook thing in the news about the whistleblower, the rap on Facebook is that they thrive on negativity, and bad news and not kindness. So what do you do about it? And you can all jump in on this one. I'm pretty sure you know about the whistleblower and what's going on with Facebook. So what do you do about that, Ben? And then after that, you all jump in with Ben. Go ahead, Ben. You start on that.
Yeah, I mean, with the Facebook whistleblower, with social media, like I said, it's easy reflection of the world we're living in. Even 50 years ago, there was in schools likes and dislikes and follows, but instead of being a number, it was the amount of people around you, the amount of people who said hi to you in the hallways. And it just goes back to that insecurity of caring a lot about the outside view of who you are, and lacking that confidence. I mean, if you are super, super solid and confident, and I understand that's super difficult to be confident and solid in yourself, but going to social media, looking for positivity, being solid, not letting those, Facebook and Instagram exploit those vulnerabilities in you, that would definitely go a long way. And your feed might, instead of having negative content and having, when you look at someone who just posts something and maybe they look handsome or whatever that means, you look at it into a different point of view, and wow, it's great that they've been taking care of themselves, instead of a more jealous point of view in that, wow, I wish I could be them. So it's just kind of looking back into insecurities. You can look at a picture of your friend who maybe is a little bit more fit than you, and you could say, one, I wish I could be them. Two, it's probably their parents who forced them to do it. Or you could look at it and just say, wow, it's really great that they put so much work into themselves. Maybe I'll try to do that too. Or, great job. I mean, happy for you.
That's the empathy piece that you've been talking about tonight, Ben,
Yep.
right? How about the rest of you jump in on this? Ben's full of wisdom, isn't he? Who else wants to bring some wisdom into this?
I
Jump
love
in.
you, Ben, but I think that's like very wishful thinking and very idealistic. I would love to think that social media is a mirror for what we want to see, but it simply is not. This whistleblower report that came out the other day has proven that sites like Instagram have led to extreme eating disorders in teenage girls, has led to misinformation, and has led to a lot of angry feelings that social media thrives off of. Now, I wish I could say I'm unaffected by this hate, but every once in a while I'm scrolling through Instagram, and Instagram will pop a picture of Gigi Hadid on my feed, and I'm like, why? I've never liked a post by this woman. I barely know who she is. But at the same time, they're dropping that because they know that behavior will lead me to go back into social media. Social media is designed to be addicting, and it's designed to have you hate yourself inherently. Facebook was started at Harvard, so guys could rate girls' attractiveness. It doesn't have a happy history, and it's really doubtful that it will get there. Well, I would like to think that we want to see, I want to see positive quotes. I want to see people bettering themselves. The fact of the matter is people post on Instagram, but they're not posting the full story. They might post a picture of them looking hot in a bikini, but at the same time, they're not going to show the awful 500 pictures it took with them with cellulite or their stomach hanging out. It's a highlight reel, not exactly a mirror, in my opinion.
Well, Ben, why don't you want to? I'll give you a chance to have a little response to that.
Yeah, I mean, one of my favorite books is called Digital Minimalism. It was written by Cal Newport, who's a huge advocate for basically complete digital minimalism. That was one of my favorite books, talking about the dopamine rush that you get from social media. I just still feel like social media is an amplification of the problems in society. I mean, I don't feel like social media was, I think there was some bad intentions making it. How it was started back in that Harvard dorm room with Facebook. I just still feel like there's looking at a picture, and there definitely needs to be a lot more transparency. People, I have seen a little bit more lately, but still too low than it should be. People posting things that aren't highlight reels. People talking about a big breakup they had, sadness. I think I occasionally go browse on social media, and I will see like some celebrities like posting pictures when they're sad or whatever. But I know it's very, very low, maybe 1 in a million, to see a true non-highlight reel on social media. It's just kind of that you take away social media and put a bulletin board in the hallway, or people post pictures of themselves. You can look at the picture and say, and make that demoralizing, and think like that is, I could never. That's.
Well, you're trying to do something different on Instagram, aren't you, Ben?
Yeah, I'm honestly trying to just make content that helps people. I occasionally post a picture of me walking around or whatever, but I just try to make content that's either questions like, what's the best advice your parents ever told you, or motivational quotes, or reels that teach people how to trade in cryptocurrency or whatever. So it's what you're looking for. If you're looking on Facebook, on Instagram, for pictures of your friends or celebrities that are all just pictures of them, that are nice pictures of them, and you can look at that and it would definitely make you feel bad. But or the other point of view is, if you go take off social media for a little bit, go find yourself, be confident in yourself, and then go back, there's a different viewpoint at that point. Instead of it being envy or demoralizing thoughts, it's happiness for them.
Okay, Jesse. Go ahead, Jess. Go ahead.
Okay, I will make this quick. Listen, Ben, I have the utmost respect for you and what you do, but I'm certain you don't also post pictures of you crying over how much money you lost in cryptocurrency, or how long it took you to decode, or the best advice you ever received from the parents. What's the time they made you cry the hardest? We post what we want others to see of our lives. And I think, as much as I want your reality to become true, I simply don't think that it will. And you said something about, what was it? Can you somewhat. I'm sorry. I should have taken notes. Can you?
So I talked about how the mirror part of it, the like looking for what you're looking, you'll see what you look for. What was it? Do you have like any keywords or things that could help me kind of?
I'm so sorry. My point is, we never post the full story. You can post a 40-minute, you can post a 24-hour long vlog of a day in your life,
Yeah.
legitimately everything from your eyes, and you wouldn't be able to see everything that's going on. It's impossible. That's my point.
So Whitley, what are you?
And so you're inherently going to compare yourself, even if you're saying, "Oh, they look good. I want that. I want good for them. Maybe that'll inspire me." You're still inherently comparing yourself because it's what you take in, and your brain psychologically compartmentalize that into either goals, what you shouldn't be. It helps you judge other people. Well, it doesn't help, but if I see a picture of my classmate at a party, I might be like, "Oh, they party." It doesn't help anyone's judgment, including your own.
Whitley?
It all depends on how you see it.
Oh, who was that just now?
It all depends on how you see it.
Okay, go ahead. Whitley, we'll ask you next. Go ahead, Julian. Go ahead.
The thing with Instagram is that it's such a popular thing now that like people like post things on it all the time. And Jesse, like what you said about like people posting their highlights and what they want everyone else to see about what they're doing, and I guess kind of hide their own insecurities. However, I do think that there can be some good things on Instagram that you could find.
I think that's what Ben is trying. That's what Ben is trying to do, right?
Oh, I have seen amazing things happen on Instagram and social media. I've seen people join together and reunions and all that beautiful things. I'm just saying, as a normal human being, and as most normal users of these apps, 98% of the population walks away from social media a little worse, even if they don't realize it. Over time, their brain degrades because of it. I'm not saying there's amazing people like there isn't amazing people like Ben out there. I'm saying that the majority of people are awful human beings like me who consume this and inherently judge other people than themselves.
So Whitley, what do you think?
First of all, I don't think that judging other people and yourself makes you an awful person. I think it makes you normal. Like,
Wait, say that, Whitley. Run that by me. Will you run that by me one more time, please?
Like, judging others and judging yourself doesn't make you a bad person. That's just what everyone does, whether or not they admit it or not.
You say that's human nature.
Yeah, like
it is.
Just like say like what you think. It's not always necessarily the right thing to do, but you're allowed to have your own opinion. It's just
right.
You should keep it to yourself. That's what you think.
Is that what you're trying to say?
It depends on what you do. It depends on what you do with those thoughts.
Yeah. So go ahead, Whitley. You're on the stream of consciousness here. Go ahead. Keep going.
Yeah. Basically, Jesse, Benjamin, I agree with a little bit of what you both were saying, just kind of like the main points, which is, I'm just going to explain. So basically, I agree. Social media, basically, in my mind, people post what they want you to see them as, what they want you to see their life as. They post what they see as like the perfect version of their life, what they want others to look in and see. Exactly. Nothing more, nothing less, usually. Now, some people don't. Some people, like Benjamin, go and be a little bit more real. But also, I think if you keep in mind that the majority of the things posted, you don't know the real story, or even like if it's like a girl in a bikini, it can be photoshopped. Like, it doesn't, just because it's on social media doesn't mean that it's real. I think it's important to keep that in mind, but also to try to stay positive when you look at it. By remembering that, first of all, it might not be real, you might not know the whole story, but also like, good for them. Yeah.
How about what Jesse's saying? Jesse and Ben obviously seem to be combating each other a little bit on this issue.
I love that.
No, I'm not combat's the word, but you just disagree, right?
Right. Like, I think it's both. I think it's important to, whenever you're having the negative thoughts from seeing it, to stay positive. But I do think that a lot of the things on social media are edited to the version that people want you to see them as. I don't think that
How do we combat
social
that?
media is real or genuine. Like, how do we combat it?
How do we fight against that so we don't have all the social anxiety and all this disastrous mental health problems around us? And the whole show
I
tonight.
mean,
I have something to add when you're done.
Go ahead.
okay.
Whitley
Okay,
finished,
go
and then Julian, hold your thought. Let
Okay, cool.
Whitley finish, but hold your thought. Okay, go ahead.
One thing, you can mute people's like posts and stories so you don't have to like see them. That was something that I found was really helpful for me whenever I started like working on myself with like social media and trying to stay away from all the negative thoughts. Like I realized I don't have to like unfollow people or just try and stay away from their content. I can literally just hide it. Now that I'm in like a better place and I'm like okay with myself, I don't have to do that as much, but I still do it sometimes because you don't have to put yourself in those situations. Like you don't have to be like, okay, well, I need to be able to look at this to prove that I can. You don't need to prove anything to anyone if it's going to negatively affect your mental health.
So how do we help people not to do that?
I mean, just know that you're beautiful for who you are inside and out.
So it's
and
back
that
to that again. Back to feeling good about yourself and
Right.
finding people that
Right.
make you feel good about yourself.
right. Just
Jesse was saying
because
earlier.
yeah, just because you might not be as fit as someone else or you might not look as happy doesn't mean that you aren't fit. It doesn't mean that you aren't happy. You need to stop looking at yourself as a comparison to other people and look at yourself as a person.
And Julian, what do you want to say about this?
Well, that can be very hard to do, to not compare yourself to what you're surrounded by, and it's just something that we do. And also, Instagram, it's not the platform that's the problem, it's the people that go on it that cause all the problems and all the negativity.
Yeah.
And-
So yeah,
And
it's like the bully in school, isn't it?
yeah, and people spread a lot of negativity through, like, for example, like comments and stuff, and like, but it can also spread a lot of positivity. It depends on how you look at it. Like, let's say,
Yeah, well, that's what I think. That's what Ben's trying to do, and I think Jesse, it's hard for you. You have a lot of other feelings about that.
the problem.
Julian, did you
Okay.
finish? Go ahead. Stay right there, Jess. Stay right there.
Okay, the problem
Go
is
ahead.
that people are obviously jerks, and people obviously don't necessarily use it for the right things. But if you try, and you have to try and like think like, okay, there's jerks out there. Like, what are you gonna really be able to do about it? It's just the world. And
Yeah. So what are we going to do about that, Jesse? What are we going to do?
I have a comment I'd like to make earlier. I don't think it's necessary. Listen, bullies are a problem, but you've got to think about the other institutions that allow these human beings or social media sites to thrive on being a bully, such as the fact that the school doesn't have any policies or the school ignores the bully's behaviors, such as Instagram ignoring and purposefully not taking down misinformation, and Facebook servers not taking down misinformation about the election, which led to these trolls being able to make more comments. You got to think about the way these bullies were raised, and granted there's a lot of them, but you got to think about where all these people are coming from. I think it's more than the individual people, rather it's the systems of social media inherently that allow them to thrive.
Yeah, so what do we do about that? How do we avoid, because people are feeling like they're missing out. It's affecting mental health, and social anxiety is up. Mental health is as bad as it's ever been. What do we do about that? I know that Ben, what you're trying to do, which is great, by the way, right, Jesse? We think what Ben's doing is great, but
100%. I wish I was this kid.
But what can we do, Jess? I mean, I hear what you're saying. I mean, you're on the anti-Semitism show. We certainly know what's going on with anti-Semitism. What do we do with? I mean, we all want to get people to feel better about themselves, right? And not have social anxiety and not worry about whether they fit in or not, as long as they fit in with themselves, right?
Yeah, I think that's great. I think we need to make sure we create an environment as a society that's more accepting of kids, no matter who they are, whether they love a certain type of music, whether they love a different type of human being. We got to make sure we accept all of that as a society, first of all. Yeah. And then maybe we can deal with either more concrete social media laws, maybe some government regulations. I don't really know where to go from there, and I don't want to advocate for censorship whatsoever. Rather, I want to advocate for a more loving world, and I think that'll really help with a lot of mental health issues.
Yeah, loving world. Go ahead. What, Ben? Who wants to say something about a loving world?
I think Ben's been waiting to.
Who wants to talk right now?
Ben.
Julian, you can go first.
Ben,
Go
ahead, Ben. Go ahead.
No,
Go
you-
ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead. But go ahead.
Yeah, I mean,
What do you want?
Julian, that gave me a lot of thoughts with what he said. It's the platform, Facebook and Instagram, they create no content. It's the people on it, it's the insecurities and problems the people have that's being amplified by social media. These problems of insecurity, posting things that make you look good. People have always wanted to do that. It's the reason why people wear designer clothing, Supreme clothing. It's not because it's super good quality, it's because it makes them look good. These are all problems that have always been here in society. It's social media amplifying it, making it worse. And I know misinformation, I still think it's a different subject as well. But just on the subject of the popularity in the teens, I used to be the huge, biggest person against social media until just wrapping my head around it. No, it's not social media. Social media creates no content themselves. They're simply a platform that made these thoughts of people. It's the people, not the platform.
And is that why you're trying to do what you're doing now, Ben? You're trying to change it within. You're trying to change it within.
Yeah, and I mean, it's
What,
hard
Mike?
to.
Go ahead, Ben.
Finish your thought.
Yeah, Ben, finish your thought. Then Mike has something he wants to say to you. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I mean, just I'm trying to help inspire more people, and a great way to do that is through social media because there is that mass platform. So just to summarize everything, it's people, not the platform. If we want to fix social media, we fix the people first, and the platform.
So I always say it's not society that's bad; it's the people.
Well, I mean, I have to partly disagree
Go ahead,
with
Mike.
what you're saying, Ben, and because and I'm sure you've read this. I mean, the social media platforms are thriving because of their algorithms. So there may be a million nice people on there, but you're going to get more. They're going to get more, eyes on their social media when they show attractive people or they show things that are gonna follow your trend. So I mean, that's where all these radical thoughts come because they're showing you only what you believe. So you don't know that other opinions exist.
Well, Whitley wants to go ahead, Whitley, and
Yeah,
then Julian after Whitley, then Julian. Got a lot of energy on the show tonight. It feels good.
Yeah, there are, like, you're right in the fact, Benjamin, that like social media they don't produce content. It's the people that do, but they aren't really making an effort to regulate whenever the content being posted is that negative and having those harmful effects that they are. And like, these people, they have people in marketing, they have people looking into all of this. They know how badly it's affecting mental health. And in my opinion, at least, they care more about making a profit, having users, than making sure that that their app isn't like negative or website aren't negatively like affecting people's mental health. While they aren't producing the content, they aren't doing anything to really stop it from happening. In fact, it helps them. So that's the front page this week with the whistleblower on Facebook. So what do you want to tell them to make it better? And all the kids and all the people that are being affected by this with their social anxiety and they're feeling like they're not good enough. I just think the people in charge need to just do better. They need to think about more than making a profit and about how they're going to look to other people. They need to have empathy and they need to just it's not hard to care about other people.
As Ben said earlier tonight, let's teach empathy, right? And Julian, what do you want to say about this, Julian?
Yeah, I still think that it's not the platform that's the problem, and I think that it's the people that are on it, including the people that run it.
Mm-hmm.
People are scum. People don't care about what people actually think. People only care about the money that they're making, that they're satisfied with themselves. A lot of people only care just about that they're successful and that they're making money out of something that is upsetting that can be upsetting and crippling to other people.
I'm gonna give you guys a chance to do something that we never did before. Let's diagnose those people. These people that are doing that, the so-called bullies in the hallways, the so-called bullies on the internet. Let's diagnose the motivation that makes these people do that so we don't take it personally. Ben, you want to say something about that?
Yeah, I mean, real quick, could I add just something on to what Julian was saying? We'll finish up that thing and then we'll get into the diagnosis.
Sure. Go ahead.
Yeah, and so, Whitley, Jesse, I definitely think that I'm a huge advocate for making sure that there's no negative things on social media. Misleading information is a big thing as well. So I think those things there definitely needs to be more regulation on what's posted on these platforms. I was just more talking about the things that are seemingly innocent, like a picture of yourself, like a selfie, those type of things.
Okay. Listen, I'm going to tell you something that I've heard a lot of times. You're going to have to work twice as hard to get the same results as somebody else, simply because of what your platform is. You look at the most followed people on Instagram, it's not people like you, and it should be. It's people like Kim Kardashian, Ariana Grande, Lionel Messi. It's people who portray their lives as being perfect, even if they take a selfie. And I want them to be more like you. But I'm just saying social media algorithms and don't have that. If you look at like the popular kids, at least in my school, they always have more followers than a regular schmo like me. And I don't know why that is. And yeah. Let's move on. Let's do the diagnosis.
No, actually, running out of time. How about maybe we'll do it this way, because we're kind of at the end of the show now, as we always do at the end. The kids are talking. Let's do it. This is kind of interesting. Let's do a two-part thing. Very, very brief thing, each one of you to say. First of all, what would be the diagnosis for the people that are affecting these platforms that could be useful? And what would you tell the people that are being hurt by it what to do with it? You go first, Jesse. Two different things. Diagnose these people that are doing it and help the people that are being affected by it. What would you say about both those things quickly?
Insecure. Find someone who loves you. Next.
That's cool. This is like Freud's free association exercise.
Yeah.
All right. That's great. That's great. All right, Julian, you're next.
What am I supposed to say?
First, diagnose the people that are making people feel like shit and bad about themselves, and then also help the people that are feeling like shit what they should do about the people that are making them feel like shit.
Well, if you're one of the people that's making other people feel bad, and you know what, screw you, you're honestly just a jerk. You're honestly just a waste of.
Well, besides labeling and judging that, what's going on in them psychologically? Give me an association where you might think.
Well, those people I just went through their own securities on their own.
Okay, that's much better. And what would you tell the person who's being affected by that? What to do with that?
The person being affected?
Yeah.
You could do multiple things. You could just ignore it. You could protest against it.
Not take it personally.
Sorry? Not take it personally. Well, the thing is that's a problem. A lot of people take things personally.
So what do you want to tell them to do so they don't do that? What would be your advice to them?
If you don't want to be around something that you don't want to be around, then it's just as easy as just ignoring it.
I like that. That's good enough. Ben, your turn.
Yep. I mean, why they're doing it, no idea. No confidence, desperate for approval. They need people to tell them why they're pretty or handsome. They need that approval. To be honest, I would love to take away likes and comments, or maybe we could leave comments, but likes, I think we could do a bit. That would, be a big thing. And then the people who are being affected by this, like I said in the very beginning, have empathy. They're posting these things, they're saying these things because they lack confidence, they lack that security. Don't try to combat that with negativity. Don't try to go hate on them for that. Have empathy. They are missing something. There's no point trying to fight fire with fire. Have empathy for them.
On the anti-Semitism show, was that ouch concept, Jesse, right? When somebody's saying something really against the Jews, you go, ouch, right?
Yeah, just a way to let people know that you're hurt.
Say that again?
You're too full of positivity.
What was that?
I said Ben is too full of positivity.
Oh.
That's a compliment. Ben, take that as a compliment.
What's the compliment? To say ouch?
Yes, I wasn't trying to compliment him. I'm just saying.
No, he's full of positivity. He's like a little light. I love him. I want to keep him
Ben?
in my pocket.
You talking about Ben right now?
Yeah.
Okay, well.
Oh, in terms of ouch, it's just a way of letting people know that they've hurt your feelings So, yeah.
But in our business, we call it when somebody is really resisting me. As a therapist, we call it joining the resistance. If somebody's like giving me a hard time in the office, sometimes I just basically take Ben's approach of the empathy, or really not combat or not fight, just kind of just accept where they are, and maybe that's a form of ouch, or it's a form of empathy, whatever it is. You don't want to be reactive. You don't want to imitate what you don't want to imitate what you don't like.
Yeah.
Right?
Empathy does take maturity, though. So,
of course, it takes maturity, and that's why you're all on tonight to exhibit
Middle school,
right?
a lot of
And
people,
Whitley, we all want to be mature. Of course, it takes maturity, Jesse. Right?
yeah.
people mature at different times. Like that's like at the beginning of middle school, someone may just like.
You're doing pretty good for 8th grade.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say it, and I can acknowledge that myself. I'm not even just trying.
You can give yourself credit for that, Julian. Ben, we give you credit for being a sophomore, and now we give you 2 credit for being seniors. Whitley, you get the last word tonight as the veteran. Go ahead.
Oh, fine. Okay,
Answer
so
the diagnosis for the people that are doing what they're doing, and what we tell people who are being obliterated by these people that are not feeling good about themselves.
yeah, with the diagnosis, I think these people deep down they don't like or love themselves, and so they're seeking external validation to make up for the internal validation that they can't give themselves, that they lack.
Right.
So really, it really is just deep rooted like insecurity. And for the people that are struggling, honestly, like these people, even though like Benjamin said, like have empathy for them, you don't need them to like you, and you don't need for you feeling bad to make you think that it's okay what they're doing. Realize that those aren't the people that you'd want to have in your life anyway, and only the people who are important to you, those are the only opinions that matter, and your own, really. So figure out how to figure out and learn how to love yourself, and then you can deal with the rest of the world.
I like that. Mike, you want to answer? You want to respond? You want to be part of this exercise and give a diagnosis and what you would advise?
Wow. I mean, I don't even know. I don't know how. I mean, these kids are really inspiring. I mean, I definitely had high levels of social anxiety when I was in middle school and high school, and I think it's great. I think a lot of what they're saying is easier said than done. And although I think, like they're saying, you put your best foot forward on social media, they may be saying this now and giving advice, and that's how they try to live. But I think a lot of people there is still that anxiety in the voices in your head, and it's difficult to overcome that. I think following all of their advice is great, and these are the tools that everybody needs to try to live their best life and be their best self.
And my final word would be, I love the word empathy. I would say have empathy for yourself, which would then allow you to have more empathy for the other. And be a good listener. Be humble. Be empathetic. That's the end of tonight's show. Stay backstage. The energy tonight was fantastic. I felt more energy in the room tonight than I think I have felt in the 15 weeks I've been here. So I want to thank all 4 of you for that. Jesse, Whitley, Ben, Julian, amazing spirit, energy. One of my favorite shows. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks everybody for watching. And
good night.
We'll see you next time.
See you next time.